Here's where we start the interview. So, you ready?
I'm ready for anything. Right now I'm going to tell you it's over for 2013.
Really?
They have to stop. They're done. They don't have the talent.
Hey, John, for our purposes of our viewers, introduce yourself, my friend.
Yeah, this is John Fennelly. I'm the lead writer at BigBlueBlitz.com, which is part of the SNY.TV family of blogs here in New York City.
And how can people find you online? What's the URL?
It's BigBlueBlitz.com.
Cool. Now,
also known as SNY Giants. Changed the URL recently.
Now, I'm going to ask you because the pedestrian approach is to blame a player or players for a team's problems. What is the real problem with the New York Giants in your view?
Well, they have the same problems the Pittsburgh Steelers are having. They're a victim of their own success. In the NFL, the meek inherit the earth. If you're really bad, unless you're the Oakland Raiders, you're really bad, well, they had a guy who was just bucking the system. If he just followed the rules, they'd be in first place right now. They've been in first place 5 years ago.
Yep.
You get higher draft picks. You get an easier schedule when you lose. Okay, when you win, it's just the opposite. You're playing a first and second place schedule every year. You're drafting the bottom half of the round. You're re-signing your own players who may not be the best options in the open market. You're bypassing better talent to re-sign your own talent. Then you get old. Your draft choices have to come home to roost, and if the talent isn't there, you're going to have a mediocre or bad team, and that's what we're looking at. Throwing injuries and, let's say, some coaches who are devoid of new ideas, not Tom Coughlin per se, but some of his assistants, and you have an 0-5 team that's going to be 0-6 after tonight.
Do you think it's time to replace Kevin Gilbride?
Well, if you look at the models that work, okay, Pittsburgh always replaces their coordinators because they get hired away by other teams for head coaching jobs, and you've seen that. With the exception of Dick LeBeau. Because he's not going to take a head coaching job at this point in his career. But if you look at the Patriots, who have had winning seasons every year since 2002, you don't even know who their coordinators are because he changes them. Belichick changes them, or they leave. So with Coughlin, he can't be married to these guys. Kevin Gilbride is past his prime as a play caller. Okay, he's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of weapons there. He has the same quarterback under his employ for the last 10 years. How could they be so disjointed after a decade? They should be, like hand in hip pocket.
Hey, the dog.
But they're just the opposite.
The dog agrees with you.
I don't understand that. Well, I don't listen to this show, but I will tell you right now, they should be like Peyton Manning is. Eli should be like Peyton. He should be a coach on the field. Instead, the play calling is awful. His order billing has not been good, and his execution has been even worse. His decision making has been horrible. He's trying to do too much. He has a bad offensive line. We understand that. But, every quarterback goes through that. Aaron Rodgers had a bad offensive line. Peyton Manning, at one point, his offensive line fell apart around him. The same thing with Ben Roethlisberger, and even Brady. There's going to be those years where the talent isn't there. You still have to make the plays, though. And with Eli, he's not doing it. He's making a lot of bad decisions.
What about the defense? How would you evaluate defensive coordinator for the Giants?
I don't like the scheme to begin with, the bend but don't break. I never like that. I like pressure. And the Giants, it's front four pressure, no blitzing. Usually 5 defensive backs. And it's sort of like giving up the 10 yards to 8 to 10 yard chunks through the air and trying to stop the run and jumping on the quarterback should he try to throw a long pass. Well, with Jason Pierre-Paul back now, after back surgery, he shouldn't be playing this year, in my personal opinion. I think they should have put him on the pup list, which would have kept him out 6 weeks and reevaluated him, and maybe kept him out for the year. He's not making any plays. I think he has a 1 sack or a half a sack. He makes about 1 or 2 tackles a game, and he's very lucky if he does that. And all it takes is one guy to block him. He's not getting the doubles anymore because they know he doesn't have the lower leg leverage, the lower back leverage anymore. He can't make the plays. It's unfortunate, but this could be it for him. I don't know how you recover from surgery like that. When you have disc surgery on your lower back, that's your weight bearing part of your body. I mean, how do you get that back? And it's a shame because the guy was in for a great career. I don't think it's going to happen now. And Justin Tucker, as we know, is finished. So they have no pass rush.
So the Giants, what would you predict what do you think is going to happen tonight? Because I'm putting this video up before the Bears game. You think the Giants can handle the Bears, maybe come back?
The only way they can do it is if they can get a balanced attack. And they can't run the ball. They're losing the battle in the trenches. Because Chris Snead is pretty much finished. He's on IR now. David Boss, the center, he's not going to play. They have a rookie, Justin Pugh, at right tackle. David Deal just came back. They stuck him in at, I think, left guard. And, Kevin Booth is not really an NFL starter, in my opinion. He's a guy, he's like a 6th or 7th player. He's a swing guy, and he's starting every game. Jim Cordell, I don't think he's a pro center. He's the center now. And, of course, Will Beatty signed a big contract at left tackle. In my book, he's a right tackle. So the line is very shaky. They can't run the ball. David Wilson won't play tonight. Andre Brown is already out, so now they bring back Brandon Jacobs. Mm-hmm. They bring back Darrell Scott, who they cut last week, and they have a rookie, Michael Cox. He's the other running back. I mean, how are they going to establish a running game against a tough defense like the Chicago Bears? There's no play action if you have no run game.
Right.
And they'll be able to cover, at least one of the 3 receivers the Giants have. Brandon Myers, their tight end, also questionable tonight. I mean, they scored, 7 points in 2 games, and then they scored 22 last week, or 21 last week, but, the Eagles basically let you score in certain situations. They pretty much give it to you, and the Giants couldn't take it. They could only score 21, where other teams were scoring 35 and more off the Eagles. So, I don't see how they can win this game.
Wow. So, that would be 0-6, and projecting forward,
yeah.
They would be in a pretty good shape for the number 1 pick for the 2014 NFL Draft. Now,
right.
Do you think they would, or do you think they should take Jadeveon Clowney? And should he be ranked number 1 to begin with?
Well, I don't think he's going to be a number 1 pick anyway. I think that he's kind of... there's a lot going on with that kid right now, where he's taking himself out of games. He's picking and choosing when he plays, and that's not a good thing. I think he has a lot of talent and a lot of upside. A lot of people have compared him to Lawrence Taylor. I don't think he is. Mm-hmm. I think he's just purely a pass rusher. He can also, in college, chase down runners, but in the pros, it's a little different. Right. I think Teddy Bridgewater might be the number 1 pick. And I think the Giants will win a couple of games, so I don't think they'll get to it. I think Jacksonville will have the number 1 pick. I don't think Jacksonville will win a game. But I think the Giants will be close. They'll win 2 or 3 games at the rate they're going. They could look at Clowney, or they could trade out of there because they really need to bring in some top-notch bodies. One guy ain't going to do it.
What about Coughlin? You think his time is come and gone?
Age-wise, you would think, but he's got a lot of energy. He's a great coach. He's a great motivator. He's a stand-up guy. Everybody wants to play for him. That's not the issue. If he gets through this year, which he will, after the season they'll reevaluate him, because next year will be the last year on his contract. The Giants don't like to play with a lame duck, so to speak, head coach, and they'll either extend him or they'll come to an agreement where his time is done. But if his time is done, they're going to have somebody right there in the wings. A very, very short list of 1 or 2 people.
It sounds
also... I don't know who it is, so...
Well, before I close, I have to ask you about Floyd Reese, because he's the GM, and in an indirect way, you've criticized some of his decisions, it would seem. Is this maybe time to consider a new GM?
Well, that's probably not going to happen, because they like Jerry Reese. They like his...
Jerry Reese, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's got 2 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
So I don't know who you replace him with, and not too many people out there have that. But, lately, the last couple of drafts, his third and fourth rounders and some of his second rounders have not panned out. And you know what happens when you're drafting your high round draft picks don't work out? You're looking at a bad team. Then you go out into free agency, bargain basement. You pick up guys like Keith Rivers and whoever else they picked up out there. They're not worth it. They're done. No one else wants them, so you end up with them. It's almost like a Mets mentality. They're picking up the guys that no one else wants. So with Jerry Reese, I think that he has to have a strong draft this time around. Otherwise, they may reconsider what's going on, because all these reaches, he's reached a couple of times in the second and third and fourth rounds, and he'd come up empty. You need to get some solid football players in the door. Just play one position, but do it well. Forget about these guys who can play multiple positions. Nobody cares about that. Because we have guys like Ramsey Barton who come in here, and Marvin Austin, and Travis Beckham. None of them really had a natural position. Some of them didn't have a natural position, but then other ones just weren't good at what they did. Or good at any of them. But he needs a strong draft, I think, to come back after next year.
Well, folks, that's John Fennelly and Fennelly, actually, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we'll be back for more with John later in the year, but I want to get this video up in time for the Giants-Bears game, since the Giants are traveling to Chicago. Hey, thanks, John. Great to see you.
Okay, Danny. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah.